Alright, here we are, Game 2 between Digital Chaos South America and SG Esports. We get right on into the second game draft with DC.SA having a one-game lead. They've picked up Batrider, they've picked up Clockwork, and SG Esports, they've gone ahead and picked up the Lich. So, initiators are there again for DC.SA, and this time SG Esports, they picked up the Lich as it has not been banned out for what seems like the first time this whole qualifier. So, I also go with that Sand King.
You know, Lich, very strong first pick. Basically automatically wins one of your lanes by default unless you really screw something up. And this time, SG Esports, they banned the Space Cow. So then DC South America seem to really value these high power initiators for their first phase. So they pick up Batrider, and instead of the Spirit Breaker, they pick Clockwork this time, which is also going to probably be a position 4 hero. And Clockwork and Spirit Breaker, they are two heroes that can initiate without the use of items. So really, what they need is levels, specifically level 6. And SG Esports, they respond by picking a Sand King, also a very strong initiator, also a very strong position 4, potentially position 4 hero. And all of these 4 heroes, they don't really give out a lot of information about the draft, because really, Batrider is the only core hero that's been selected here, and Batrider allows for a lot of flexibility with your other 2 picks because you have one of the initiators, so your mid and your safe laner potentially don't have to do the initiation. Or you don't have to pick heroes that are good at that. So, pretty cool first phase. There's a Huskar ban, which is a little interesting from SG Esports, since I guess maybe they respect the potential Huskar pick, even though they haven't seen something like a Dazzle or Oracle. There's always the potential in the second phase to just bust out the Dazzle Huskar or Oracle Huskar one after the other.
But even if they do go with that, couldn't SG Sports still, I mean, I know they have the Lich, couldn't they still potentially go with an Ancient Apparition Lich combo in sports?
You could, and AA is one of those heroes that's really strong against Huskar, but the question is whether or not you want to play against a Huskar lineup, because a Huskar lineup is very specific to play against, and even if you have the counters, you have to be able to play around it, which is the Huskar wants to hit your towers, he wants to take objectives, and the enemy team's going to be super aggressive about making sure that happens. And it's not really the Huskar himself that is necessarily the problem, it's the playstyle around it, which is this very high tempo, high objective, just run at you and take as many objectives as possible style of play. And maybe SG Esports, maybe they respect the Huskar potential from DC South America and decide to ban that. DC South America, however, they pick up a Rubik, pretty solid position 5 hero, has some initiation of his own. Perhaps the only weakness of Rubik is that he's not the highest damage output support around, and so whenever you pick Rubik, you probably want to pick a safe laner or just pick lanes in general that can have a lot of strength. And Monkey King is one of those heroes that provides lane strength. That hero, Monkey King, he wins most of the one-on-one matchups that you put him against, especially if the enemy is as a mid hero. You know, Monkey King's so good at trading hits with Jingu Mastery, and he even has his own escape mechanism, his own slow, and a stun. So, pretty cool second phase pickup from DC South America.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of Monkey Kings come out in this qualifier, and it seems like they've done well just about every single time in lane. We had that Monkey King solo kill off the offlaner 2 or 3 times, and you know, you combine that with the Rubik and the Clockwork, who I think can move around quite well together. You know, lifting a guy up into battery assault. I feel like Monkey King, if he gets those 2 supports up there, can just destroy his lane.
Yep, for sure. As soon as the Monkey King gets set up, level 2 or 3, if any of his supports come in, it's pretty much an easy kill, or even an easy kill on his own with just an Orb of Venom and boots. SG Esports, however, their lineup has a ton of magic damage and a ton of teamfight potential right now. And if you combine that with a hero like Phantom Lancer, you know, is very good at these fights that last like medium length. You know, he doesn't get bursted down easily. In fact, he's quite hard to to lock down and burst because of Doppel Walk and because there's just so many illusions flying around, and so a hero like that probably does well against Monkey King because Monkey King does not have a lot of AoE. Like he has the Q, but maybe that's not the most reliable way to deal with Phantom Lancer, and I believe the Phantom Lancer illusions will also tank some of the hits from Monkey King's ulti. So pretty good pickup from SG Esports. It's also cool to note that the Phantom Lancer doesn't really get affected by Clockwork too much because you can get out of the cogs easily. There's a lot of illusions to tank the battery assault. And so, 5th ban coming out from DC South America, they have... I think they're looking at banning a safe laner, assuming this is going to be a mid PL and offlane puck, but I could be wrong on that. Perhaps SG Esports are still looking for their offlaner. I've seen a lot of Phantom Lancers being laned mid, and I think that lane works out really well for Phantom Lancer because he gets a lot of EXP in the lane, he gets some guaranteed farm, and he's quite difficult to gank. And so I think SG Esports have strong potential to put this Phantom Lancer mid. But really it's all up in the air. We'll find out in about a minute because they'll have to pick their final hero after this ban.
10 seconds.
And SG Esports probably looking to ban a mid hero. I don't think DC South America have any heroes that really lane mid right now unless you somehow threw the Monkey King mid, so maybe banning something like Tinker, who is pretty good against Phantom Lancer. The March does really well against the illusions, and as soon as Tinker gets Aghanim Scepter, it pretty much blows up the all of Phantom Lancer's illusions, or a good amount of them. So, 10 seconds for SG Esports' last pick.
For a hero like Rubik right now in this game, it seems like there's just the potential to steal so many things that are going to benefit his team. Is this a game where we could see a Rubik really go off on the on SG Esports? They've got the Lich ult, Sand King Epicenter, or Puck Dream Coil. So much opportunity really there for Rubik to make or break this team fight for DC.SA.
Oh, definitely. But the problem for Rubik this game right now is DC South America really don't have a frontliner, and so I wouldn't be surprised if Rubik gets targeted by the Phantom Lancer and Puck in most of these team fights. But there are a lot of delicious spells for him to steal. You got the Chain Frost, Burrow Strike, Dream Coil. Even Spirit Lance is quite good just because it's so spammable. And so, you know, most Rubik games are good Rubik games. The only bad Rubik games are the ones where you die at the start of every fight just because the enemy team has so much pickoff. So it's not one of those games, definitely. So could see a pretty good Rubik game here.
Even just getting Ice Armor would be crazy good for DC.SA.
Templar Assassin, pretty cool pick from DC South America. So pretty much 3 of SG Esports' heroes can lane mid right now. Like Puck, Phantom Lancer, and Mirana are all acceptable mid lane heroes, and Templar Assassin does well against all 3 just because those 3 heroes have nuke damage that gets blocked by refraction, and there's really no refraction breakers on SG Esports' team. The only problem I see for Phantom Lancer, or sorry, for Templar Assassin, I don't know how I mixed that up. The only problem for TA this game is that there's a lot of kite potential if she doesn't get to burst down her targets, because 4 of SG Esports' heroes have escape mechanisms, and so I can see in the mid game if DC South America aren't careful about their initiation and aren't careful about landing their lockdown, that TA might have some issues in team fights.
It seems like possibly another hero that benefits well from the rotations of Rubik and Clockwork, where you could get that, you know, that telekinesis and throw that enemy towards the Clockwork, Cogs, Battery Assault, and TA just really hits away.
Sure, but at the same time, SG Esports, they have 3 ungankable heroes, which is kind of cool. So we'll see how SG Esports do in the laning phase, but definitely I think both of these lineups, when I look at them going into the game, seem pretty even. I don't think one team really rock, paper, scissors the others. The only thing is that if Phantom Lancer gets out of control, there's not a lot of area of effect coming out from the enemy team. I think Monkey King might even consider something like maybe a Battle Fury or a Mjolnir if he feels that it is necessary to deal with the Phantom Lancer, because having AoE is really important against Phantom Lancer because the illusions get reproduced so quickly, but also if you somehow damage the main Phantom Lancer, then suddenly all the new illusions get lower HP too, so it becomes easier and easier to fight the Phantom Lancer as the fight continues if you have AoE. But if you don't have AoE, you're pretty much always dealing with full health Phantom Lancer illusions. And we have a couple of TPs and some smoke happening, or I guess smoke's happening. Bit of warding, so I think SG Esports, who is on Dire again, they opt to plant this ward in the bottom side of the map to spot any rotations from the Clockwork. This time they placed it slightly lower than the Spire, maybe to just mix things up, or maybe to have a clear sight of the Bounty Rune this time. And DC.SA, they do spot out a ward here. They give the kill to the Templar Assassin, so that's one less ward for the Dire. Their only ward now is this one in the Radiant Jungle.
Interestingly enough, on my screen, TA is coming up as Monkey King on the chart for some reason.
Interesting.
Okay.
Well, shouldn't be too big of a problem. We have Clockwork starting to get some hits on this puck. Something ready to follow up though. Gets hit by the cogs.
I need to
Decide to farm the cogs instead. That's 18 gold for SG Esports, which puts them in an 88 gold deficit because of the ward kill. So simple maths. Looks like a lot of the action is going to be in the bottom lane. We have a dual lane from the puck and the Sand King. Of course, Sand King and the Clockwork will be roaming around. I think their primary objective this early game is just to prevent the enemy from getting any pickoffs, because realistically, kills aren't going to happen for a while unless this TA takes a ton of damage or unless Mirena somehow wastes her leap.
So you've got TA, who you say can lane well against any of these cores that they thought were going to go mid. Yeah, you've got also another good laner in Monkey King. Does this... Obviously, it doesn't guarantee that they're going to win their lanes, but are they, set up to look well in both their lanes? And as I say that over bottom, Monkey King is going to get hit by that Burrow Strike. They have the Clockwork coming in, looking to make something happen. They haven't found anybody just yet. They look at the puck, trying to block him in these trees. He has a Illusory Orb ready to retreat, but...
So Monkey King does well in a one-on-one because he can trade hits so well, but in a 2-on-1 or a 2-on-3 lane, if the enemy does play the lane well, they can actually do a lot of damage to the Monkey King, and the Monkey King can't really fully sustain through just Jingu. And for the mid lane, this Mirena's doing this cool trick where you arrow the range creep, which causes a huge amount of your melee creeps to stay in the lane, just because your melee creeps are surviving. There's no enemy range creep, so you see this TA is having a little bit of trouble dealing with this. And that's one mechanism that you can use to help deal with Templar Assassins in the mid lane. So Mirena's playing this lane really well.
Yeah, and the TA already out of mana, so not going to have refraction for quite some time.
Oh, hope you didn't miss that, but there is a first blood top. I certainly missed it.
Totally was not paying attention to TA mid and missing it again top.
Yeah. And so, I haven't really seen how Monkey King operates when the enemy team picks a hero that's good against him, like Puck, because Puck doesn't have to take hits from Monkey King. Puck can escape or phase shift the hits, so...
Mirena actually letting himself get really low. Obviously, TA can't really go in there without refraction, but having possibly 100 mana in just a moment, maybe we see the TA dive on this Mirena?
It's quite tough. Mirena still has her leap. Both heroes are pretty low. I think this lane is pretty even. They're pretty much neck to neck in net worth. So
Again,
I think
that refraction will stop losing that salve. So
It's hard to see one of these heroes dying in anytime soon unless a rotation happens. So
now you've got the salve being used by this Mirana. They push into this tier 1 mid. Just, it seems like a lane, like you said, it's just not going to have much aggression unless they have someone come
There is a
over.
rotation coming in from the Sand King from behind, though.
And they've got Clockwork.
TA does
TPing
not
in.
have mana for a refraction.
So there's the Burrow Strike. They're going to try and get this kill. They also have the arrow that hits. TA gets out for now. They've got the Battery Assault hitting this Sand King. Refraction back up for TA, and it will be the kill going the way of said TA.
Yep. I think Mirana made a little bit of a mistake there. She tried to dodge the cogs and still got hit by it, where I believe if she just walked into the Clockwork, they could have tanked the Battery Assault together and actually been able to get enough hits off to kill the Templar Assassin. But really good rotation coming in from Clockwork as well as the Rubik to save the Templar Assassin, and that turns around a kill.
So now Burrow Strike misses from the Sand King. They try to go in on this Monkey King, but you go in and you miss like that. You got to be very careful of the Jingu Mastery, and as I say that, looking like maybe this is just going to be an attack on Puck. Got that one big slap that comes in, pushes both of them out of lane, and this becomes some nice, easy farm for the Monkey King.
Yep. And talking about top lane, the Lich has been doing a really good job of sort of shutting down this Batrider. Of course, Lich automatically wins the lane by just using Sacrifice, and now he's starting to pull these creeps, so Batrider doesn't really have a lane to go to. Dire's doing a really good job of managing this lane, and Phantom Lancer has the level 3 Spirit Lance now, which does a ton of damage, so that makes it really hard for Batrider to stay in lane, so I wouldn't be surprised if Batrider is just stuck jungling for the next few minutes.
They are pushing this bottom creep wave out. They've got the Monkey King and the Rubik here, just the two of them together, and meanwhile, two heroes, they're starting to head over towards mid. You've got Lich coming over and Sand King, but doesn't look like they'll make a move just yet. Actually,
down bottom.
Take a look. Boundless Strike is going to hit onto this Puck. Or actually missed because of the telekinesis, but coming over bottom is the rest of the team in both the Lich and the Sand King.
I believe if that hit, that would have been a potential kill because the Clockwork would have followed it up with a cogs, but instead they miss. They're all out of mana, or at least the Monkey King's out of mana, and there's these two heroes smoke bottom with the Lich. Lich is level 4, which is very high level considering the Puck is also level 4, so potential to put a lot of pressure on this Monkey King here.
Seems like it's going to be tough with level 1 Burrow Strike.
Yep. And Templar Assassin's at this point in the lane with level 4 Refraction rather, where she can actually shove out the lane more effectively than the Mirana. So this lane is pretty much easier for the TA from now on.
They don't end up making a move on to this Monkey King, just continuing to sit here over bottom. And then, like you said, TA just doing pretty well in this mid lane, top of the CS chart, 46 and 9. Switch it over to net worth early, so you take a look. It is Phantom Lancer leading the way, but not too far behind is that TA.
Yep.
And Phantom Lancer...
It really feels like Monkey King is suffering in levels right now. Like Phantom Lancer's level 7, if you just compare the carries. Phantom Lancer's level 7 and Monkey King's level 4. I think a big part of this is this Rubik has just been sitting in the lane, whereas the Lich has actually been moving around and pulling. So this is definitely SG Esports is getting a lot more out of their offlane than DC South America, but DC South America pull ahead through the mid lane. I think the only problem I see for DC South America is they really can't make an initiation happen until either the Clockwork hits 6 or the Batrider gets his blink. Because really their only way to initiate is with the Rubik, and even with that, there's not a lot of follow-up. So as long as SG Esports are careful, I don't think they can get ganked, which is fine for DC South America as long as DC.SA are getting enough farm out of the map. But it looks like there's a couple of heroes collapsing on top. Batrider's...
Yeah, Batrider tries to go in on this Phantom Lancer. I'm not too sure that was the brightest move. Burrow Strike follows it up. Easy kill. Right under tier 1.
Yeah. SG Esports are probably going to put a lot of damage on this top tower, and it's kind of problematic for DC South America because, you know, I don't think the Monkey King and the Templar Assassin are cores that want to rotate early, especially since this Monkey King is so behind on levels.
Yeah, still just level 5. We take a look at that Phantom Lancer, level 7, about to be level 8. So it does look like SG Esports are certainly looking to stay in this series and looking good in Game 2 to do so.
Yep, but DC.SA, they have a lot more time to turn things around. I mean, Clockwork's starting to get his levels, and TA is farming up the Storm, so if SG Esports want to continue press their advantage, they're going to have to make a rotation soon, or maybe look to take a tower, especially the mid tower, because the mid tower is so important for the Templar Assassin. It protects her from potential ganks through the mid lane, which protects her when she's jungling and doing the ancients. But yep, Puck is also getting a lot out of the bottom lane, and we have a rotation coming in from the Lich. Lich is now level 6, so wouldn't be surprised if SG Esports decide to rotate in more heroes.
Well, he's got the opportunity to go in on this Monkey King, and there it is. There's the Dream Coil as well as the Chain Frost. They don't get the kill just yet, but it will be certain as Lich and Puck just hit away at the Monkey King, and no rotations come out to help this Monkey King at all.
You know, this Puck's probably doing really well now, picked up a Soul Ring, so this Puck's ready to just be a nuisance on this bottom lane for as long as possible, especially while DC.SA don't have any ways of catching him easily.
That Balance Strike does hit down to half health. I mean, Puck's got to be careful. Monkey King has somebody else with him. Maybe they get that kill.
Yep, Puck does have a shrine though, so he might choose to use that, maybe share it with the Lich and the Mirana. The real question, I think, is whether or not DC.SA will be ready to fight, because TA has pretty much top net worth, very close to her Desolator, so they have the potential to burst down heroes as soon as that comes up, and as soon as Bat Rider has his blink, and the Bat Rider is about 500 gold away from that.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Despite it being pretty close in terms of net worth, SG Esports, they have about a 3,000 experience lead too. So
I mean, that's the Lich factor, but also the fact that Bat Rider was zoned out, whereas the Puck was allowed to stay in the lane for a very long time. And this Monkey King has caught up. They've left him alone in this lane for a while. So
over mid.
While I'm saying that,
steals that Burrow Strike. They get it back on the Sand King, who tries to be aggressive on the TA, and won't work out well enough for him as he gets taken out by the likes of Rubik, Clockwork, and that TA.
Yep. Clockwork just about level 6.
Definitely going to help them out.
This Monkey King's been careful not to get picked off again. I think he's in a weird spot because he wants to be able to farm this lane, because Monkey King doesn't really jungle that well, but enemy team's doing a really good job of pressuring, and as I say that, there's a Moonlight Shadow. Enemy's going to be able to catch this Monkey King.
They walk right into him. Dream Coil, Burrow Strike, Chain Frost bouncing off him and the neutrals. Monkey King trying to pull himself back out of this ditch.
There's a smoke from DC.SA. They're going towards the top tower, but not going to catch anyone. I think they're deciding to push bottom instead because they figured out that SG Esports have most of their heroes on bottom. And this is the classic Phantom Lancer rotation. You get the travels, you get your levels, and then you help your team take these important objectives as mid and bottom tower.
Yeah, he's already level 10. He's got himself that Boots of Travel. He gets that tier 1 with his Puck down bottom. You know, this is sort of similar to what we saw from the side of DC.SA, where they just were the entire game aggressive, and made SG Esports pay for it. Now it seems to be the plan for SG Esports against DC.SA.
Yep, I think a big part of that is DC.SA's cores are, I can't say they're super passive, but definitely the TA is definitely is a hero that wants to farm at least in the first 15 minutes. And this Monkey King, normally a very good fighter, I can't say he got shut down, but definitely he's not in the position he wants to be in, especially after those 2 deaths. But DC.SA making the most of the situation. They take that mid tower, which is huge. Allows them to rotate into the jungle.
For the epicenter onto this Monkey King. They do get it off, but the Boundless Strike hits. You're there with the Mirana. They grab the kill. And they get another one. That's now the 3rd death onto this Monkey King, who's 0-3-0. And Hookshot hits the mark onto this Sand King. They'll get one in return. That's going to be the lasso to follow it up onto this Mirana. They've got the trap as well as the cogs, but Flame Break actually pushes the Mirana out. They've got the Rocket Flare to continue spotting this Mirana. They need one more hit with the Blink Dagger moving forward. They should have it, and TA is going to get this kill.
And I think with that, DC.SA, they sort of close the gap, and if they continue getting these towers, it'll be huge.
Puck comes over, has that Dream Coil, rotations up plenty, and oh boy, Clockwork. Maybe not the best move coming in with Chain Frost bouncing around. They'll get themselves a second. They've been working so well with the Dream Coil and the Chain Frost.
Yeah, TA sort of overstayed a little bit there, especially after the Lich and Puck showed up. And the TA actually died to the tether breaking when she TP'd out. Otherwise, she would have been okay. But very good turnaround from SG Esports. They continue to keep their lead.
7-4. They have a 2,000 net worth lead now with those 2 kills, and experience still sitting at about 4,000 for them.
I believe this Phantom Lancer is going to be quite a nuisance for DC.SA, especially in the mid game. And meanwhile, mid.
Take a look over Mirana in a bit. Or not Mirana, PL in a bit of trouble.
I think these Monkey King stuns haven't been ideal. I don't think he's been predicting the telekinesis, or maybe there's been some miscommunication of how the Rubik drops the hero, but I think that's the 2nd Boundless Strike that's been missed because of telekinesis.
Yeah, it seems like they haven't really been lining everything up in what seems to be a lineup, at least this early in the game, that kind of needs that to happen.
They have a good amount of lockdown on DC.SA. The problem is that all of their lockdowns are relatively short. Like Telekinesis and Boundless Strike are quite short in the grand scheme of stun durations, so they have to be careful of how they chain their spells, especially against the lineup like SG Esports that have so many escape mechanisms. And quick skirmish there with a bunch of spells missed, but SG Esports, they're content just playing back for now. Phantom Lancer just about to pick up his Diffusal Blade. I mean, the longer this goes, the tankier the Phantom Lancer gets. And that should make the game a lot easier for them, especially against a team like DC.SA who lacks AoE and really lacks farm on their carry as well. Their carry is only the 5th highest in net worth, or 6th highest. So, not doing too well.
I'll always say that. There's the Dream Coil out on Monkey King. He gets Burrow struck, silenced by the Waning Rift, and killed off once again. That's going to be Batrider to follow, so SG Esports, 2 more kills for them. They are definitely playing this aggressive lineup very well.
Yep. I think DC.SA should sort of shift their gears a little. I think normally they're used to this playstyle, especially seeing from last game, where they sort of pressure the tower and then some of their heroes look for the pickoffs, but right now they're the ones getting picked off, and it's sort of difficult for DC.SA to even go for kills if they have a core hitting the tower, because their cores provide the damage required to kill SG Esports' team. So I think instead of going for this sort of split pushing and pickoff, they should probably dedicate more of their cores to better positioning so that they can actually go for these pickoffs.
So they're down 2,000 net worth. Seems like they're just lacking items, at least for the Monkey King and possibly this Clockwork. What do they really do to take fights better? It just seems like they're getting picked off time and time again. They're not positioning well enough. They're missing their skills. Like,
I think they have the right idea here. They're smoking as 5 this time instead of trying to pressure tower and look for pickoffs at the same time, because whoever the Batrider goes on, the TA has to follow up immediately.
And There it is. They get the lasso. Big Dream Coil comes out on all 5 of these heroes. Not going to keep the Mirana alive. The hook shot comes out, but he's immediately silenced, and now Clockwork might be in a little bit of trouble. They get the Burrow Strike to hit from the Sand King, who's going to end up dying. Now the Chain Frost bounces around with the Wukong's command out. They've only taken 2. They've lost the Rubik. Chain Frost continuing to bounce. Bat Rider under tower, not going to be stopped. And they're going to try and find themselves an escape. They only lose the Rubik and take 2. Everything expended on both sides.
You know, that looks super messy for DC.SA, but they somehow come out on top. They get 2 kills, trading only for the Rubik, so that was a really good engagement for them.
They actually look towards killing off this Phantom Lancer. He's getting quite low. One more shot would do it. With the Primal Spring, there's the next one coming in. Monkey King gets a kill onto the Phantom Lancer.
DC.SA can consider going for Roshan here. The Phantom Lancer's down for 40 seconds. I think this is just about enough time, and, you know, this is probably what DC.SA needed to get rid of SG Esports' tier 1s and possibly some tier 2s.
And the Monkey King getting that kill is huge too.
Yep, definitely puts them back in the game.
Looks in with the Illusory Orb. Not going to jump to it despite having Dream Coil. They'll give up the Aegis. This is going to be put on Licked on the TA.
Yep. DC, TA can use this Aegis to help get rid of those tier 1s and possibly some tier 2s to help secure some more map control, because what DC.SA need is to be in a position where they can go for pickoffs where the TA and the Bat Rider are ready to lasso and burst someone immediately, because I don't think DC.SA want to go directly into a 5-on-5 engagement just because there's so much AoE coming from SG Esports' lineup.
Just seems like that DC.SA have this huge opportunity to make SG Sports hurt, and Phantom Lancer look to be overtaking the entire map.
Yeah. This could be really bad for SG. There's only 4 heroes up here so far.
And Monkey King's going to come over. They've got the Bat Rider trying to scout. Illusory Orb thrown forward. Meanwhile, in the back lines, Puck going to be hit by that Boundless Strike. Uses the Dream Coil on 2. Not going to keep him alive. He's now given up the Dream Coil to the Rubik. Let's see if he can find anything. Ends up Dream Coiling the Sand King. Meanwhile, in the back end, they've lost the Monkey King. They've lost the Bat Rider. Rubik will drop as well. And a fight that looked so good for DC.SA falls apart, and 3 kills go the way of SG Esports.
Yep, it was sort of a weird engagement for DC there, because they were chasing the Puck, chasing the Phantom Lancer, but there's those 3 heroes, that really the 3 priority heroes in the back, which is Lich, Sand King, and Mirana, that provide a lot of the stun for SG Esports. They came in from where the tier 1 was and really just sandwiched the DC lineup with the Chain Frost and Dream Coil, and I think the Monkey King got hit with a very long duration stun and wasn't able to do anything that fight, so pretty good fight from SG.
Hook shot up top, solo from the Clockwork, trying to get this kill on the Lich. Should be successful, but with Battery Assault, but too fast right now is this Lich. Just getting there with that 4-step is going to be the Clockwork. He'll lose his life to the Phantom Lancer as well as the Puck. Use Dream Coil there too, despite having the kill.
A pretty good trade for the Clockwork there. I think the Lich was slightly higher level, and it also makes some space for his team to take this tier 1 bottom, because SG had to move a couple of their heroes up top. So, pretty good trade for the Clockwork there.
So 14-9, they've basically evened out the net worth. You take a look, it's still 5,000 experience in favor of SG Esports. Burrow Strike comes out. He's going to be lifted up. Boundless Strike. Stolen Burrow Strike.
Interesting
Rubik.
Burrow Strike attempt there. I think he was attempting to deny the tower, but wasn't expecting Rubik to be so close with the follow-up. And I think that's pretty detrimental for them, because they really needed that Sand King to defend this tower. And as a result, I think this Templar Assassin is going to get this tier 2 for free.
So they push this tier 2. This should be the first tier 2 for the side of DC.SA, trying to make something happen. They'll end up glyphing it. Looks like they're going to try and chase at least. They've got the smoke and Moonlight Shadow used. And I think they know that the Monkey King's there. They've got a Dream Coil coming out on a couple of heroes here. Meanwhile, the Burrow Strike comes down on the Phantom Lancer again from the Rubik. They've got the Wukong's command that's going to be laid down. but he's killed off immediately with that Batrider. They've now taken out the Aegis of the TA. It's just TA against 4. So Illusory Orb thrown over. That's Refraction. Ends up melding, but there's the Dust. TP away. Not going to be in time. There's the Burrow Strike and the kill. Triple kill for Mirana.
Really good fight from SG there. They really thrive in these situations where DC is sort of clumped up for the Dream Coil and the Chain Frost, and you know that makes SG Esports' team fights a lot easier than DC's. And I think DC perhaps overstayed their welcome again. It seems like DC always lose when they have these 5-on-5 engagements where one of these big team fight heroes from SG don't get bursted immediately. So I think DC again should probably look for the pickoff game instead of these 5-on-5 fights.
Monkey King comes into this tier 1 with the Burrow Strike, or with the Boundless Strike. Take a look over towards the Shrine. Epicenter used for this Batrider trying to get away, and Dream Coil used, and they get the kill. So Batrider, wrong place there with that TP.
Yep. Monkey King is starting to work on a BKB, which is so critical for him this game. Perhaps he wouldn't have wanted to get it this early, because, well, he'd rather have a farming or damage item, but he really needs it in these team fights because the last 3 team fights he's died to basically just magic damage, Chain Frost, Epicenter, Dream Coil. So I think this is about the time in the game where he wants it, but at some point he might consider something like a Mjolnir just to provide some extra attack speed and damage to his hero.
Still down about 2,000 net worth. What really is the answer here if you're DC.SA?
Well, DC.SA, they still have a ton of burst potential, like Templar Assassin and Monkey King. Those 2 heroes do a ton of physical damage. The problem is being able to deliver that damage. So far in these teamfights, they haven't been able to, just because these teamfights are so messy and because SG Esports' heroes are so good at disengaging with Sand King, Puck, Phantom Lancer, and Mirana, and so
4-man smoke comes out from SG Esports.
Really, I think they should just be more careful of how they're approaching these fights.
To be very careful here for DC.SA. Playing very aggressive is SG Esports. They're not going to find anything bottom as DC.SA have made their way over top. This is going to be a wasted smoke.
Yeah, this is a really good movement from DC.SA. They notice that SG is missing, and as long as only the TA who's getting caught, DC should be fine in this fight because TA now has a BKB, so she'll be fine at least for the duration of her BKB, and they're okay just having the 2 heroes hit this tower. I think they are going to go at least hit this tier 3 to force SG Esports back until they see this PL and Puck leave the bottom and mid lane. But this Frost Armor is really annoying for the TA.
A little chip damage to it.
They're starting to set up bottom for this Phantom Lancer. Will they catch him though? It'll be tough.
Take a look at the Batrider trying to catch up to this PL. Moonlight Shadow is going to be expended, so
he does not have any detection. Actually, only the Clockwork is holding onto detection now. This TA might try to burst this Puck up top. We'll see if he's paying attention. Oh,
no. Excuse me.
Just says hello and blinks away, and then cancels his TP. I think that's what I saw.
TA now with that Crystal is farming better than the PL, but if you take a look at the next 3, and that's all 3 cores for SG Esports, which could definitely serve to be a problem for DC.SA.
I don't think Monkey King is a hero that can farm safely. He doesn't really jungle particularly quickly, and if he's in the lane, he can actually get picked off really easily if people stun or disable his ability to jump on trees.
So trying to deward is the Rubik. There's the Dream Coil used. He steals the Dream Coil himself. He will use it on the Phantom Lancer before losing his life. So
I believe he does get the deward, so not sure if that's quite worth it, but it takes a little bit of vision away from SG.
It's vision and Dream Coil down, but Dream Coil not the longest cooldown.
Roshan will spawn in 35 seconds. DC will know about this Roshan because they have a trap in the pit, but not sure if they'll be able to take it or even contest it if SG decide to fight this, because fighting around that pit is so dangerous against DC or against SG's lineup.
Yeah, it's a team that really benefits well from that choke point with both the Chain Frost and Epicenter.
Mm. Monkey King getting pretty close to his BKB. I think if DC somehow win a team fight and Monkey King survives, I think he'll rubber band back into the game. The problem is he's just slightly underfarmed to be able to do anything in these fights. I think he needs that BKB, and then he probably needs another damage item or another utility item.
So tier 2 up top is going to be taken by the Mirana. Still sitting close to this Roche pit, but we'll have to see how DC.SA will choose to react as the pressure is mounting from SG Esports.
Yeah. SG Esports somehow have the map control advantage just because their heroes are better against DC in the mid game, and so normally you'd see, hey, we have a Clockwork and Batrider on DC, but we're not really feeling the pressure from it just because SG is playing so well around that.
And when you take a look at Puck, he's picked up that Ag, so even the BKB for Monkey King just doesn't seem like it's going to be enough.
That's actually such a good teamfight combination. You have the Dream Coil and the Chain Frost. There's no escape now. If you walk out of the coil, you get stunned for some ridiculous amount of time.
And this could be a spot where DC.SA feel a little bit too confident with the Monkey King getting that BKB, but it could just, smack them in the face when they realize that Ags is picked up on the Puck.
I think DC's strategy here might be, or DC's play here might be to just keep the lanes pushed out. They have the TA pushing bottom, they have the Batrider pushing top, or maybe pushing top. Nope, Phantom Lancer came, but you have the TA pushing bottom, and I think just keeping these lanes out and trying to split push as much as possible while you buy time for your heroes to get items, because really what they need is they need this Monkey King to get back into the game just so that his ulti just is super effective in these fights. I think eventually this TA is going to be able to dish out enough damage to perhaps one-shot the Puck or Mirana.
So Monkey King, now with that BKB, Echo Saber might feel good about himself. We'll see how they take on these next fights, as they are set up close to the Roche pit.
Phantom Lancer is a surprisingly tanky hero to physical damage. He has that about 2,000 health right now, and it's only going to go higher because he only has one piece of the Scatty, and also 15% evasion, and potentially plus 20 strength at 25, so it will not be an easy game for TA Monkey King going into the late game.
There's Moonlight Shadow used, and they've got 3 heroes up top to try and kill off DC.SA.
Yep, there's no vision from SG of DC's heroes though, so they're gonna have to walk into each other.
So
they
Monkey
do
King
spot.
Nearby. Phantom Lancer is right there. The trap's gonna come out, miss. Doppelganger to get him away. And they're going after the wrong PL.
Love how they're pinging it so much too, but nothing really happens there. Wasted smoke from SG, but that's fine as well because DC had 5 heroes tasting an illusion there.
And DC.SA, they smoke up themselves, so they might run into this Phantom Lancer again, and that's going to be it. Hit with that Fade Bolt. BKB is going to be used. Chain Frost bouncing around, so it's going to get all the way back to the Batrider. Balance Strike is going to split the seams of Mirana and the Phantom Lancer. Now BKB is going to be popping the Monkey King. They've got this Wukong's command coming out on a couple of these heroes. The Stolen Chain Frost hits this Sand King. They'll take him out with the Maelstrom Strike. They've already lost Batrider and Rubik. So let's see if DC.SA can find anything else, but it looks like SG Esports, they're the ones benefiting right now. BKB is going to be popped by TA, but being pushed away by both this Puck and the Phantom Lancer. They continue to move on forward as they lose their Lich. Phantom Lancer looking to chase this TA all the way back to the base, and TA not looking like she's going to get out. She'll finally drop 4 die on DC.SA, while only the 2 supports drop on SG Esports.
You know, DC and Radiant, they had the right idea going for a pickoff there, but unfortunately they just didn't have vision of where they're going, right? These initiations from DC require some almost surgical precision. Like, they have to get on top of the real Phantom Lancer before he uses double walk, and that didn't happen because DC basically just walked up a hill. Their smoke broke before they came up the hill, so Phantom Lancer was completely aware of what was happening. And as soon as SG Esports reset and grouped up, it was just such a weird fight for DC, who were stuck next to the shrine.
They're now down 7,000 net worth, and that lead's only going to get bigger once they take this Roche. It's not going down too quickly. Phantom Lancer very low. Pearl Strike actually comes out on 2. Now the Phantom Lancer looks towards these 2 heroes, takes out Rubik. They look for this Clockwork. Cogs are going to keep him away. Boundless Strike hits from the Monkey King. He's going to use that BKB. Still trying to chase that Phantom Lancer, but he's got away, so that's a wasted BKB. And they might even look to turn around on the Monkey King. They haven't taken Roche just yet. No TA for 7 seconds. And let's see if SG Esports go back in.
You know, when TA responds, she might just go in and finish that Roche because this Phantom Lancer is too low to contest this. This could be really bad for SG. In fact, TA is walking into the pit right now. I think he's going to get this. He
Coil arrow, not going to hit, but the Burrow Strike is going to follow it up. They've got the lasso that's going to come out on the puck, as well as the Wukong's command from the Monkey King. Boundless Strike is going to follow that up. They get themselves at least one. They're looking for more. Chain Frost going to bounce around. And now it looks as though Sand King's not going to be able to make it out. He'll finally fall. You take a look back at the edge of this fight. They'll look to take out the TA. Aegis is going to be popped as they took down Roche during that team fight. And now only 3 are alive for SG Esports, and things look a lot better for DC.SA.
I thought they do. DC really caught a turnaround there, but that's more of SG Esports' mistake of not finishing that Roche. I'm not sure how the Phantom Lancer took so much damage there, but definitely if he was higher HP, he could have stopped that Roche steal from happening.
So double damage here for the TA. Just blows up that creep wave. They glyph up this tier 2. Pushing is looking enough. No puck, no Sand King.
This TA is really feeling the effects of this ice armor here from the Lich.
PL looking to go in on the TA, but she blinks away and gets out. But the Burrow Strike, that's going to hit the Bat Rider. He might be in a little bit of trouble. Force stabs himself back down, now to the low ground. He's all right for now. Rubik uses Sandstorm, will take the attention away from the Bat Rider, giving up his life for the greater good.
Oh.
Arrow on the Clockwork. They've dusted him up. These 3 heroes combine again to get a kill on the Clockwork, who's 4, 4, and 5.
That Monkey King's starting to work on that Battle Fury, so should give him some additional wave clear farm speed, but more importantly, it helps him deal with the Phantom Lancer illusions. And you know, both teams doing a little bit of resetting here. DC just lost 2 heroes, and SG just got 2 pickoffs, so SG's in a bit of a position to find some kills here.
Yeah, but DC.SA, they are nearby with the TA and the Bat Rider. Coming over from the right end is going to be SG Esports with 4. They do smoke up, and that's Bat Rider standing still, so he's dead to rights after that arrow hits. They lose 1, they might lose more. Trying to get away is going to be this Monkey King, jumping from tree to tree, turns into a tree on top of a tree. And actually, right next to the Sand King. I don't know if they spotted that, but there's the Sandstorm. Arrow's going to miss.
Do they see the animation? I think they see the animations of him jumping. There's no way they would ping him like that otherwise.
I think it's a split second as he flies over.
Yep. But great escape from Monkey King.
Just like that amazing Gwen Stefani song, The Great Escape.
Forgot about that one. No, there's an angst coming up on the Clockwork.
He may not even get out. The arrow comes. He's not going to be able to get away. He tries to TP out. The arrow follows it up with the Dream Coil, and he will end up dropping once more.
Why did he stay there? There's like no reason to stay there, but I won't question it.
He almost did TP out, but
I think You know what? I think he was waiting for the next wave to come so that he could farm it and basically like cut a wave, but gets arrowed instead, I suppose.
So they're going to push the top tier 3 while bottom tier 3 is going to be pushed by the TA. A bit of a base race going on, but Phantom Lancer and Witch are going to back off. Mirana's going to TP up. They look for the arrow. It's going to hit onto the TA, who's getting rocked by these illusions. They got to really watch out. Arrow stolen by the Rubik. They use Moonlight Shadow. They're going to try and TP all these heroes out. And they do successfully escape this Phantom Rush. Going quite far.
Yep. There's a BKB on the Baron. He's getting us Shivas in the near future. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to pick up something like a Radiance, because I think they need as much, I guess, solutions to the Phantom Lancer as possible.
Arrow from the Rubik. He's 1 for 1 right into the Sand King. Dream Coil comes out, not going to save him. But Bat Rider looking to be in a lot of trouble. BKB's right before he's dead. Hookshot's going to come in all the way through onto this Mirana, as well as the Wukong's command, trying to save the life of the TA, who's going to drop quickly. And now they look to continue to chase. They'll get another one in the Rubik. And 3 die on the side of DC.SA.
Yep. Phantom Lancer just so effective this game. It's able to do so much damage to these DC heroes.
Move in for this tier 3 mid. Backdoor protection is going to be up. Now down. And they'll take it. First tier 3 tower goes their way. Continue on forward. They're going to look for racks. They'll grab that. TA finally buys back. Maybe looking to TP over bottom to help this push, but they're going to lose the top tier 3 as well as another set of racks.
No, it's 2 Rexes for SG. They can just back off. They're in a really good position. They don't have to rush anything here. But Monkey King takes that tier 3 bottom. He's
avoiding the Burrow Strike as well.
By a split second. I think there's some chasing happening from...
Take a look. Lasso, BKB's Puck in a lot of trouble. Just gets away for the time being. There's the phase shift, but not going to be able to avoid it completely. Will still drop. And now they look towards the Mirana, who's running back into the DC.SA base. She'll fall as well, down for 100 seconds.
We saw just how tanky the Mirana is, though. 2.3k HP with over 24 armor. So, you know, DC, they have a little bit of breathing room here. Unfortunately, they're down to 2 Raxes, and it looks like Sand King's even pushing down the bottom lane, so... See if DC can actually get anything out of this. Roshan won't be spawning for another minute and 20.
So Bat Rider's going to push this mid tower. They've got the buyback of the Puck. If they could get the buyback of the Mirana...
Really, the key for DC from now on is to just go for pickoffs. I don't think they can do these 5-on-5 fights anymore.
Battle Fury here for the Monkey King. TA with the Daedalus. Is there going to be a point where maybe their farm's good enough to go after these 5v5 fights?
I think the Monkey King needs a lot of items to make that happen. Hopefully the Monkey King spots this gem, by the way. Looks like he does.
Wow, Rubik and TA together. To grab themselves a bounty rune. Let's see, this BKB is down to 6 seconds, so getting quite short there. You take a look at the Monkey King, 7 seconds. They are pushing out top quite well, and I feel like they got to keep some of these lanes pushed to really have a chance too.
Yep. Big rotation from SG coming in though. I think they're just gonna try to push high ground, maybe?
Oh, arrow.
Or at least...
Hook shot. There's the Axon clock, so well worth it.
The Monkey King looking to cut as many waves as possible. I guess SG Esports not in a hurry to do anything at the moment.
I mean, Roche up in a minute. They don't exactly need to be too scared about the Roche Pit, knowing that they fight well there. What, if anything, do DC.SA do if they're put in a position where they need to fight in the Roche Pit?
I think they're smoking right now. I think they're anticipating that Roshan will be up, or at least that this is their time to make something happen. You know, they just saw SG Esports in their jungle, so they know SG Esports is moving around somewhere. Hopefully, maybe they're thinking that they'll be able to catch someone. And
Downward strike.
they might catch this Phantom Lancer here.
They've got the lasso as well as the Wukong's command. Burrow Strike comes in for the Sand King. They might be able to take out the Phantom Lancer in time, but he finally gets himself out. The Wukong's command is still there, as well as the Chain Frost bouncing around. They might find themselves at least a Lich. There it is, down for 69 seconds with no buyback. Chain Frost still bouncing around with this Dream Coil. Epicenter comes in on just the Rubik. They finally get the kill on the Monkey King. Hookshot comes around for the Clockwork, but they don't get to keep alive their TA. Down for 110 seconds. The stolen Epicenter doesn't do much. It'll be cleaned up. So Rubik down, Monkey King down, as well as the TA. They're looking for more. They will find it in the Bat Rider. Clockwork, the last one alive, and he won't make it out either. It's a full team wipe in favor of SG Esports. DC.SA with that call GG, and it's tied at 1.
Yep. I think really where SG Esports shined the most was in the early game. So they shut down the Bat Rider top lane with that Phantom Lancer and Lich, and in the bottom lane, the Puck and the Sand King got so much that they were actually able to kill the Monkey King a couple times, and we never really saw Monkey King make it back into the game. And with Phantom Lancer having pretty much a free game, and at least until the end, where we almost saw him die a couple times, Phantom Lancer and the Mirana were just able to do so much in the mid game to pull SG ahead.
Fortunately, for Phantom Lancer, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Stayed alive most of the game, 12-1-8. Really dominated with his team. With the Mirana, 14-3-14. It just seemed like DC.SA never had enough catch to kill these cores that were easily able to get away. And, you know, they paid for it and they lose game 2. Tying the series up at 1 is SG Esports. So that's going to be it for Game 2. We'll be back in just a moment with Game 3. I'm your caster, Bcop, joined here by Franz. On Twitter, we are at Bcop92 and at Hello Franz. Follow us on Twitter to know when we're casting next. Stay tuned for Game 3 between these two teams, and then after that, it is Infamous Bowl on Tuesday. Infamous versus Infamous Young. They'll be playing the best of 3 in their semifinal, and then the final is tomorrow. So stay right there for Game 3 between these two teams. We'll be right back.